my granddad gave my first card.
We all know Mat Armstrong as the guy who can take a pile of scrap metal and turn it into a masterpiece with nothing but grit and a toolkit. He's the ultimate legend of the car world, and his passion for saving unfixable cars has made us all feel like we're right there in the garage with him. But his latest project has hit a massive, heartbreaking roadblock. The man who usually has a smile on his face was recently seen in tears. And it's not because of a mechanical failure or a broken engine. Rumors are swirling that Bugatti has hit him with a staggering $19.2 million lawsuit regarding his latest project, and the emotional toll on Mat is clear to see. So, why exactly was he hit with a $19.2 million lawsuit? Join us as we dive into the details. The qualifying run that changed everything. How a dislocated shoulder birthed a legend. Before he was the king of the salvage yard, Mat Armstrong was just a kid in Leicester, England, born on June 11, 1993, with grease already under his fingernails. He didn't learn about engines from a textbook. He learnt by watching his dad, Tony, tear them apart in the family garage. While other kids were playing with toys, Mat was absorbing the mechanical DNA that would eventually make him a legend. Life wasn't always a smooth ride, though. His parents split up when he was young, but Mat stayed grounded, heading to Lutterworth College and even trying his hand at real estate through the BRRR strategy. He was a guy chasing financial freedom, but before he found it in a toolkit, he found it on two wheels. Long before the YouTube millions, Mat was a professional BMX rider, flying through the air in freestyle comps across Europe and Dubai. He was good enough to snag sponsorships from brands like Mad Gear Pro, and it was actually BMX that taught him how to pick up a camera. He started filming his stunts to show off to sponsors, unknowingly building the editing skills that would later break the internet. But the pro-athlete life is a brutal one. Despite the travel, the sponsorships barely covered his flights, and the income was non-existent. Then came the crash that changed everything. During a qualifying run at the BMX World Championships in Germany, Mat dislocated his shoulder so badly it ended his career at just 20 years old. That one injury could have been the end of his story. Instead, it was the spark. Forced to hang up the bike, Mat pivoted back to his roots in the garage, trading the handlebars for a wrench and turning a career-ending heartbreak into the most successful automotive channel on the planet. But while a broken shoulder closed the door on his BMX dreams, a broken car was about to open a window into a multi-million-pound future. It turned out that the same grit he used to land backflips was exactly what he needed to turn a pile of scrap metal into a viral sensation. The Audi blueprint. Why Hannah's accident was the best thing for Mat's career. When Mat Armstrong first hit the upload button back in April 2013, he wasn't looking to become an automotive titan. At the time, his world revolved around the adrenaline of BMX tricks and the rush of athletic competition. But behind the scenes, Mat was a man of many hats and even more side hustles. To fuel his passion for riding and mechanics, he was doing whatever it took to keep his pockets full. We're talking about a guy who was delivering food, pulling pints behind a bar, and working retail shifts in tuning shops, all while soaking up every bit of mechanical wisdom he could at his father Tony's garage. This wasn't just a series of part-time jobs, it was a master class in grit, giving him the practical skills that would eventually make him the most dangerous man with a wrench on the internet. The real shift, the moment that changed the trajectory of his life, came from a place of total chaos. When his girlfriend Hannah's Audi TT was smashed in a nasty crash, most people would have called the insurance company and walked away. Not Mat. He saw a salvage title and a massive opportunity. He bought the wreck, rolled it into the garage, and decided to document the entire rebuild from start to finish. That Audi TT wasn't just a car. It was the birth of a brand. It established the high-stakes, all-in format we've come to love, buying the cars nobody else wants and bringing them back from the dead right before our eyes. By the time the COVID-19 pandemic locked the world down, Mat was ready to shift gears into the big leagues. He snagged a damaged Bentley Continental GT, a move that felt like a massive gamble at the time, but it paid off in a way nobody expected. That project blew the doors off his channel, growing his audience at a breakneck pace, and proving that he could handle luxury hypercars just as well as street racers. But don't think for a second that this was just a lucky break. Mat's success is built on a work ethic that would break most people. In those early days, he was juggling his YouTube dreams with a grueling 9-to-5, often spending his nights covered in oil and his mornings editing until his eyes bled. He treated YouTube like a serious profession long before it actually paid the bills. He committed to a schedule that ran like clockwork, dropping new episodes every week or two to keep his viewers hooked on the drama of the build. That consistency eventually caught the eye of some heavy hitters. Imagine the feeling when the Grand Tour's own Richard Hammond reacts to your work. That kind of shout-out is like hitting the nitro button on your growth. Once his YouTube income finally surpassed his day job, Mat didn't slow down. He doubled down. In late 2019, he took the ultimate leap of faith and went full-time as a creator. It's a bet that has clearly paid off. As of March 2026, he's sitting on a main channel with over 6.3 million subscribers and views in the high hundreds of millions. But what really makes the Mat Armstrong experience feel different from every other car channel is the heart behind the horsepower. Mat isn't a lone wolf vlogger hiding behind a camera. He's brought us into his family. His partner, Hannah Smith, and his dad, Tony, aren't just cameos. They are the soul of the story. Tony Armstrong, the man who taught Mat everything he knows about engines and winging it during a tough repair, is a fan favorite for a reason. Their bond is the real deal. You could see the raw emotion when they teamed up to rebuild a Ferrari F430 as a heartfelt gift, or in 2025, when Mat returned the favor by buying a flood-damaged Aston Martin DBX and restoring it for his dad. That video alone racked up over 6 million views because people don't just come for the torque. They come for the family. Even with the massive success, Mat has kept his feet on the ground. He's diversified his empire into property investment and merchandise, ensuring the Mat Armstrong name is about more than just ad revenue. He's shown every aspiring creator out there that you don't have to do it alone. By involving his mates, his family, and his partner in every tricky fix and test drive, he's created a warm, relatable vibe that turns viewers into fans and fans into family. He's gone from a BMX rider with a broken shoulder to a global automotive icon, proving once and for all that, with enough grit, a little help from your dad, and a toolkit, you can rebuild anything, including your own destiny. But the secret to his success isn't just the tools he uses. It's the way he talks to the camera. Mat doesn't act like a superstar who knows everything. He acts like a mate who's willing to get his hands dirty and make mistakes right in front of us. Just a regular guy. Why Mat's lack of pretension is automotive gold. In a world of overly polished influencers and scripted reality, Mat Armstrong is the breath of fresh air the car community desperately needed. While most creators are trying to hide their mistakes, Mat is right there in his bio, telling us he's just a regular guy winging it. He's not a master technician with a wall of certifications. He's a guy with an angle grinder, a massive dream, and zero fear of failure. This total lack of pretension is pure gold. When Mat hits a roadblock or snaps a bolt, he doesn't edit it out. He lets us feel the frustration right along with him. That emotional transparency is exactly why even people who don't know a spark plug from a piston are rooting for him. We've all been there, knee-deep in a DIY project that's going south, and seeing a legend like Mat struggle makes us feel like we're part of the team. But don't let the winging it attitude fool you. Mat is a master storyteller. Even though his videos can run for nearly an hour, fans are glued to their screens for every single second. He doesn't just show you how to fix a car, he takes you on a high-stakes journey. Every project is a saga filled with villains in the form of seized engines and heroes in the form of creative last-minute fixes. Whether he's rebuilding a mangled Audi or a high-end Lamborghini, he structures it like a movie. The dramatic, "I bought a wreck" opening, the grueling middle chapters where everything seems lost, and the epic, roaring finale of the first drive. It's that narrative arc, the wreck to redemption story, that keeps millions of people coming back for more. Mat has moved from simple sports cars to headline-grabbing hypercars that most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. The world stood still in 2024 when he dropped 184,000 pounds on a totaled Mansory Rolls-Royce Wraith, formerly owned by Manchester United star Marcus Rashford. It was a 750,000-pound car, reduced to a pile of scrap, and the entire internet thought he'd finally bitten off more than he could chew. But Mat's grit turned it into his most iconic series yet. He documented every painful step, and the story got so big that Rashford's own team reached out to help, sending over spare keys and custom parts to ensure the build was authentic. When that Rolls-Royce finally purred back to life, Mat didn't just drive it around the block. He took it on a triumphant road trip across Europe, all the way back to the Mansory factory in Germany. Seeing the original designer's jaws drop at what a guy in a garage had achieved was the ultimate payoff. It proved that Mat isn't just doing this for clout. He's doing it for the craft. He's in there turning the wrenches himself, proving that with enough blood, sweat, and tears, no car is truly unfixable. Mat Armstrong's rise is more than just a success story. It's a blueprint for anyone with a passion. He took a niche hobby like salvage rebuilding and turned it into global entertainment by focusing on the human element. He showed us that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. From a BMX rider with a career-ending injury to the man who saved a Manchester United superstar's Rolls-Royce, Mat has proven that his greatest build wasn't a car at all. It was the incredible community he built along the way. But as his garage grew, so did the size of his targets, eventually leading him to a showdown with the most exclusive car brand on Earth. Taking on the giants, how one man with a toolkit challenged a hypercar empire. It was October 2025 when the car world stopped spinning. Rumors started flying about a $6 million Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport that had been absolutely totaled in Miami. The owner, Alex Gonzalez, was looking at a $1.7 million repair bill from insurance, a number so high that the car was officially written off and sent to the graveyard of the elite. A Copart salvage auction. Most people saw a crumpled mess of carbon fiber and a "stay away" sign. But Mat Armstrong saw the ultimate challenge. He didn't just want to fix it. He wanted to prove that a guy with a toolkit could do what the factory said was impossible. The front end was a total disaster. Crumpled metal, deployed airbags, and a shopping list of parts that would make a billionaire sweat. We're talking about the iconic horseshoe grille, the hood, the wings, and those signature headlights all smashed to bits. But the moment Mat got that Bugatti back to the UK, the corporate hammer dropped. Bugatti didn't just decline to help. They locked the VIN. That meant no dealership on the planet would sell him so much as a bolt for the car. Then, things got personal. Bugatti CEO Mat Armstrong waded into the comments sections and social media, calling out Mat's claims and setting the internet on fire. When Mat talked about using 3D printed parts to get the hypercar back on its feet, Rimac shut it down, saying it couldn't be done safely and that the parts prices floating around the web were totally inflated. He even offered to let Mat bring the car to the Bugatti facility in Molsheim for a check-over, but Mat stood his ground. He knew that if the car went back to France, it would be stripped down and the costs would balloon until it was basically a paperweight. "I've got no chance but to try and get this car back on the road my own way," he told his fans, and that's exactly what he did. With the official parts counter-slammed shut, Mat and his team started getting creative. We're talking about sourcing airbags from an Audi A3 and having custom radiators built from scratch to replace the destroyed units. It was pure, unfiltered engineering grit. They had to bring the coolant, fuel, intercooler, and ECU systems all back from the dead. It was a massive gamble, especially since the car had been driven without coolant after the crash, a move that usually spells certain death for an engine. But against all the odds, they hit the button and that W16 roared back to life for the first time. But the journey was far from smooth. At one point, eagle-eyed viewers thought they spotted a hairline crack on the chassis that could have turned the car into a 300-mile-per-hour death trap. These fine cracks can lead to catastrophic failure at high speeds, and the rumor mill went into overdrive. Mat had to get under the car to investigate, only to find out it was just some residue and dirt left on the underside. Then came the big one, the transmission. Mat Armstrong himself said only 2 places in the world could handle splitting the Chiron's modular design to access a damaged gearbox. Mat's response? He grabbed his tools and did it right there in the garage. As it transpired, all it took was the removal of various bolts to split the modular design. He separated the transmission from the main block, while the CEO of Bugatti literally watched the project unfold from afar. With Bugatti refusing to help, Mat knew this task wasn't going to be easy, but by the time the interior was being rebuilt and the custom radiators were installed, the progress was undeniable. As of early 2026, the car is a masterpiece in the making. The controversy hasn't gone away, and the back and forth between a solo creator and a hypercar giant has generated millions of views and massive headlines. Mat remains undeterred, proving that even when the manufacturer locks the doors, a bit of passion and a lot of winging it can keep the dream alive. Whether you think he's a hero or a brand risk, Mat Armstrong has taken the world's most unfixable car and turned it into the most legendary rebuild we've ever seen. He's not just fixing a Bugatti, he's taking on the entire corporate world, one bolt at a time. And we are all right there in the passenger seat watching history happen. But while the wrenches were turning, the real battle was being fought in the boardroom. Mat realized that his struggle to get parts wasn't just about safety. It was a clash between the do-it-yourself spirit and a multi-billion-dollar brand protecting its image at any cost. The veto theory: why Mat thinks the Bugatti CEO was overruled by lawyers. Mat Armstrong recently sat down for a raw, tell-all interview on the Cars and Money podcast, and he didn't hold anything back. Chatting with hosts Rob Moore and Carl Hartley, Mat finally pulled back the curtain on what it's really like to be in a head-to-head battle with a hypercar giant. He described his relationship with Bugatti CEO Mat Armstrong as a sort of Messi versus Ronaldo rivalry. Sure, they both love cars and run in the same circles, but the internet has turned their differences into a full-blown war. Mat made it clear, "We've got mutual friends." But once the corporate world got involved, the story took on a life of its own. The tension in the room was palpable when Carl Hartley stepped up to defend Bugatti's honor. Hartley's take was simple. Bugatti isn't just a car brand. It's the pinnacle of luxury, and they have a reputation to protect. They don't want a guy in a garage showing the world that their impossible machines can be fixed with grit and a bit of winging it. But Mat pushed back hard, asking a question every DIY builder has wondered. If he's willing to take 100% responsibility for the project, why won't they just sell him the parts? Hartley hit back with a nightmare scenario that keeps corporate lawyers up at night. He argued that if a Mat Armstrong repair failed and caused a major accident, the headline wouldn't be "YouTuber's bolt snapped." It would be "Bugatti crash injures family." For a brand that sells million-dollar exclusivity, that's a risk they just aren't willing to take. While Mat could see that perspective, he dropped a bombshell of his own. He suspects that mate Rimac actually wanted to help him, but someone higher up in the corporate hierarchy vetoed the deal, causing the sudden change in tone that left Mat in the lurch. As you'd expect, the fans are divided. Some say if Bugatti doesn't want people touching their cars, they should buy them back from insurance before they ever hit the auction block. Others think Mat is a massive brand risk who doesn't understand how the real world works. One thing is for sure, this saga isn't going anywhere. With Supercar Blondie now reaching out to Bugatti for an official comment, the drama is only getting started. Mat's still in the garage, the world is still watching, and the most controversial rebuild in history is officially in high gear. But if you think the current fight is intense, you should see the legacy that Mat is trying to protect. To understand why Bugatti is so protective of its image, you have to look back at the days when the brand wasn't just a car company. It was a family dynasty that redefined what it meant to be fast. The $360,000 rust bucket, the true story of the Bugatti that sat underwater for 75 years. Bugatti isn't just a car brand, it's an artistic dynasty that began in 1909 in Molsheim. It all started with Ettore Bugatti, born in Milan, Italy, into a family where creativity was the only language spoken. His father, Carlo, was a legend in his own right, designing furniture and jewelry that looked like it belonged in a museum. When Ettore founded his automobile company in 1909 in Molsheim, he didn't just want to build engines, he wanted to build masterpieces. Because of his artistic roots, every single nut and bolt had to be beautiful. During World War I, Ettore had to leave his factory behind, moving between Milan and Paris. But the second the smoke cleared, he was right back in Molsheim. Talk about timing. Less than 4 months after the Treaty of Versailles handed the region back to France, Ettore scrambled to snag a last-minute spot at the 1919 Paris Motor Show. He showed up with 3 light cars, the Type 13 racing body and the Types 22 and 23. They were tiny, nimble, and featured a 4-cylinder engine that proved Bugatti was back and ready to dominate. And dominate they did. Bugatti became the name to beat in the early days of Grand Prix racing. In 1929, a privately entered Bugatti actually won the very first Monaco Grand Prix, setting the stage for decades of glory. The racing success peaked with Jean-Pierre Wimille, who took home the 24 Hours of Le Mans trophy twice, once in 1937 and again in 1939. These cars were winners right out of the gate. The little Type 10 famously swept the top 4 spots in its first ever race. Then there was the 1924 Type 35, which is widely considered one of the most successful racing cars ever built. Bugattis were so fast, they won the Targa Florio 5 years in a row, and drivers like Luis Chiron became legends behind the wheel. But Ettore's ambition didn't stop at the racetrack. In the 1930s, he tried to take to the skies with the Bugatti 100P, a racing aeroplane designed to beat the Germans. It was a beautiful machine, but it never actually flew. He even designed a high-speed motorized rail car that was a massive success in France. Everything Ettore touched had that signature Bugatti flair, but the family's luck was about to take a tragic turn. On August 11, 1939, Ettore's son, Jean, died while testing a Type 57 race car near the factory. It was a devastating blow that marked the beginning of the end for the original company. World War II followed, leaving the Molsheim factory in total ruins. The company lost control of the property, and while Ettore tried to plan a comeback with new designs like the Type 73, the spark was fading. When Ettore Bugatti passed away on August 21, 1947, the heart of the business went with him. The company made one final appearance at the Paris Motor Show in 1952 before the original incarnation of Bugatti officially folded. What made these cars so special wasn't just the speed, it was the obsessive attention to detail. Ettore famously hated gaskets, so his engineers would hand-scrape engine blocks until they were perfectly flat for a seamless seal. He used intricate safety wires on fasteners and forged his axles so the springs passed directly through them, a move that was way more elegant than what anyone else was doing. He even poked fun at his rival Bentley, calling their cars the world's fastest lorries because they were so heavy. For Ettore, weight was the enemy, and style was everything. The legend of these original cars still turns heads today. In 2009, a rare 1937 Type 57 S Atalante was found hidden away in a doctor's garage, perfectly preserved and originally owned by a British racing earl. But maybe the craziest story is the 1925 Type 22 that sat at the bottom of a lake for 75 years. When they finally pulled it out of the water in 2010, it still sold at auction for over $350,000. It just goes to show that even after a century, a Bugatti is never just a car. It's a piece of history that refuses to be forgotten. From the racetracks of Monaco to the bottom of a Swiss lake, the Bugatti name remains the ultimate symbol of what happens when you combine raw power with pure art. After the original Bugatti flame went out in the 1950s, the brand didn't just disappear, it went into a long, strange slumber. Ettore's son, Roland, tried to spark a comeback with the mid-engined Type 251 race car, but it just couldn't find its footing on the track. By the 1960s, the company had shifted away from the garage entirely, focusing on aeroplane parts before being swallowed up by Hispano-Suiza and later Snecma. For decades, the Bugatti name was more about jet engines than hypercars, but the ghost of the brand was just waiting for the right person to wake it up. That person was Romano Artioli, an Italian entrepreneur who bought the name in 1987 and decided to build the ultimate supercar factory in Campo Galliano, Italy. This place was a temple of speed, designed by top-tier architects and staffed by the same geniuses who gave us the Lamborghini Miura and the Ferrari F40. In 1991, they dropped the EB110 GT, a quad-turbocharged V12 monster with four-wheel drive and a carbon fiber chassis that felt like it was from the future. It was so legendary that Michael Schumacher even bought one. But the timing couldn't have been worse. A global recession hit, and by 1995, Artioli's dream went bankrupt, leaving that beautiful Italian factory empty and hauntingly quiet. but you can't keep a name like Bugatti down for long. In 1998, the Volkswagen Group stepped in and bought the brand, bringing it back to its spiritual home in Molsheim, France. They spent years teasing the world with wild concept cars featuring V18 engines, but the real earthquake happened in 2005. That's when the Bugatti Veyron 16.4 hit the streets. It wasn't just a car, it was a technical miracle. With 1,001 horsepower and an 8-liter W16 engine fed by 4 turbochargers, it redefined what was physically possible on 4 wheels. It became the ultimate status symbol, ending its run in 2015 with a final masterpiece called La Finale. Just when we thought it couldn't get any faster, Bugatti revealed the Chiron in 2016. Designed to be sleeker, meaner, and even more powerful than the Veyron, the Chiron proved that Bugatti was back at the top of the mountain to stay. This mid-engined beast took everything the brand had learned over a century and turned it into a 300-mile-per-hour work of art. From a family of artists in Milan to a bankrupt factory in Italy, and finally back to a high-tech atelier in France, Bugatti's journey has been a roller coaster of pure grit and engineering obsession. They survived world wars, bankruptcy, and decades of silence to remain the ultimate kings of the hypercar world. What are your thoughts on the drama going on with Mat Armstrong and Bugatti? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.